This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.
Good day, folks. Week 6 of the 2022 NFL season. Where's the time gone? Welcome to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. I'm your host, John Was Jr. Today, it's going to be a full house. We're just waiting for Bez to turn up. But at the minute, I'm joined just around the corner off the east coast of the United Kingdom. Dan King, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, Was. How are you doing, friend?
All
it's been a
good,
while
mate,
since I've made it to one, but I'm here.
I'm glad to see that you're healthy and you're well. That's all that matters.
I'm here, charged up.
I know you've had some problems at home because your good lady wife is a Panthers fan and they just quite literally suck.
I've watched too many Panthers games for my own
well, you need to stop doing that, and I hope that your young son becomes a Bolt.
Yeah, currently jerseyless, so we're safe at the moment.
Down there, bottom of the screen, shaking his freshly brewed coffee in Dripping Springs, Texas, John Ayres. Good day, buddy.
Good day. Yes, I got some Goat's Peak fresh blend. It's wonderful. It's a local coffee shop here, and what they do is they actually have their own like oak barrels that they use, and they smoke the beans. They smoke roast the beans there, and then you get it fresh within like a week of roasting. So it is just beautiful, beautiful coffee.
We're going to have to rename this the Coffeed Up Bolts podcast as opposed to the Charged Up Bolts podcast.
Caffeined up. I like it.
Caffeined up. Guys, we're back to 3-2. We had a narrow win in Cleveland. We beat the Dog Pound. We beat the Browns. We beat all the insects. Fortune doesn't always side with the Los Angeles Chargers, but on Sunday it did. I think it's a game that the Browns should have won. There was a lot of talk on social media about negative plays, 4th and Staley. We got the job done. We went 14 zip down. It looked like Nick Chubb was going to run all over us all day long. That didn't transpire. And your man, kicker Yorkie, missed 2 field goals. The first one that he missed, I thought, well wide. I thought, what's going on there? And then with literally seconds on the clock, when the Chargers turned the football over, he had an opportunity to put the Browns up by a point and win the game, but it wasn't to be. Dan, key takeaways from that narrow victory?
Well, the first thing that comes back to mind is that 4th and 1 call. And absolutely hating it. Even had it come off, yes, there'd have been relief, but there'd still been a lot of disappointment that was the plan. But yeah, overall, it was an entertaining game to watch. Lots of lead changes, lots of big plays, which is always fun to watch when they're yours. Definitely some defensive instability there. But yeah, overall, it wasn't the worst watching experience. It was quite decent.
Agreed. We've just been joined by some imposter wearing non-Chargers gear with a San Diego Padres hat on. Bez, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How is everyone?
We're all good, man. We're all good. You've only missed 3 minutes of the show, and you've not missed much. Dan's obviously given his hot takes.
Say that's a bit harsh. Dan's given us his hot takes. You've not missed much.
Mate, yeah.
And John's told us about his impressive coffee collection that he's currently drinking. John, can you echo Dan's points there on the Browns win? What's your takeaways?
I mean, if we're being honest, he didn't really say much, right? I'm just kidding. I didn't love that 4th down play call. We were fortunate to be in that position anyways with that interception in the end zone because it looked like the Browns were ready to score. I mean, honestly, it's shades of the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. When you get that close into the red zone, you've got Nick Chubb, who's been tearing up the Chargers defense all day. Why are you letting Jacoby Brissett throw it? Like, just keep handing the ball off to Nick Chubb, and eventually it'll probably go in. I mean, I do think the Chargers were fortunate there. And it's not an ideal call on fourth down. I mean, it is not. Let's just be honest. I didn't love it. I don't care what your stats say. I don't care what your gut says. It was the wrong call, right? There's no part of me that believes it was the right call. I mean, the only justification that we ever saw was, I trust my defense. Well, if you trust your defense, then punt it and trust your defense to stop them with a whole field to go. It's really hard for me to understand the logic behind that. So I don't know. I echo Dan.
Can we just stay with that? Just stay with that theme, Bez. Over to you. Fourth and Staley. Come on. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm not. I'm back. You know what? I hated it when it happened, like you did. And then someone put the stats on of these should I go for it kind of stats, and we had an 86% chance of winning before the play. That dropped to 76% if we punted. So you take 76% chance of winning. He chose to go for it for 100% of the victory, but by missing it, we dropped to 58% chance of winning. That's almost a toss-up, isn't it? So why are you taking that risk? Punt the ball. It's just, I felt that it was Staley trying to send a message about who he is. I am Staley. I am fourth and Staley. I go for it. I'm bold. I'm not Mike McCoy and Anthony Lynn. Thank you for not being those people, but just a little bit less of you trying to dominate and send a message. It was more about Staley than it was about winning that football game.
I tell you why I've kept with this theme. I want to talk about something different, and you guys know that I tweeted about this on Sunday. Keenan Allen, at the time of that, went, "What are we doing?"
Yeah,
and I thought that was surprising for a number of reasons. One, because he's got a lot of followers. He's a senior player, one of the best. Yes, one of the best in the league in his position, and the fact that he came out and he's challenged the head coach in public. Now, since then, there's not a lot being made of it. Brandon Staley.
They've had a cuddle, haven't they?
Yeah. But the point I'm making is, I think on a lot of other teams, there would have been some serious ramifications. And I wouldn't be surprised if some players would have been suspended over that. That wasn't the case. But when you've got a senior pro challenging the head coach like that, I just thought it was, we don't normally see that, do we? We don't normally see players getting involved in that way and airing their views publicly. So look, none of us liked it, and I'm cringing just thinking about it now, because if we'd have charged that game, eek. I mean, shall we talk about some positives? Austin Eckler, John. I know you've been a massive advocate of Josh Kelly getting more reps. 37, I think he got. 37 snaps, I believe he got, or might be 27 on Sunday. 27, actually. But what is going on with Sony Michel? Does anybody want to answer that? I'll tell you what Sony Michel's stats are, because I've just written about him. It's about 55 carries for a yard. Sony Michel currently is not playing well. 23 carries for 53 yards. Does anybody want to answer what's going on with Sony Michel?
I picked him up in sleeper fantasy. What an error that was.
I mean, he's washed.
Don't forget his 31 yards receiving.
Well, I know. I mean, he was a first-round pick. And I think John made a comment the week about Everett being allowed to walk from LA from the Rams. Do you think that, John? I mean, I'll pose this to you. Do you think that the Patriots knew what they were giving up when they let Michel leave the building?
I mean, yeah, the Patriots are very big on, you were here, and as long as you are under cost control, we're happy to have you. But once we don't need you anymore, you're out. They had a bunch of young backs who do what he does, but with younger legs. So they said, "You're old, go away." Couldn't stay on the roster there. Was it in Miami this offseason? Couldn't stay on the roster there. Got cut. I mean, there's a reason, right? I've seen Miami's running backs. No offense to Myles Gaskin or Chase Edmonds. Not exactly a running back room that screams epic talent. So he can't make that running back group. That's got to tell you something. And I'm glad there's a veteran leadership there. And I'm glad he's got a bit of a downhill runner mentality that they like, but he he's done. Like, to be honest, he's a waste of a spot. And unless there's something about his that he can bring to them as far as like a pass blocker, just in case someone goes down. I don't see why he's there. I don't see why you would draft Isaiah Spiller and not get him some reps, right? Like, he doesn't need a lot. I'm not saying feature Spiller. I mean, give him a couple touches a game. Just see what he can do in a game situation. Okay. I mean, you've got him. Figure out what you've got in him. Don't let him waste away on the bench for a full season, not knowing what you have. And then you've got to go into next season going, well, what do we do? We've got Kelly, Eckler, and Spiller. Like, Kelly's going to need to get paid at some point. How much are you willing to spend on Kelly? And then you've got, it's just, you leave yourself open for question marks. So it goes back to this whole question before of, is there favoritism going on in this locker room? Is the coaching personnel, is the personnel decisions by the coaching staff need to really come under question, right? Is he losing the locker room? Keenan Allen, not happy with what happened there, voiced it publicly. And you know what? He can do that. He's the best receiver on the team. He knows Staley can't touch him, right? So does he need to voice that displeasure? No, he knows better. He's smart. He's a veteran. He knows he doesn't have to go and make that tweet. Why does he do it? He's losing faith in this fourth and Staley mindset, in this aggressive mindset. He wants to win games. He's tired of the mentality of losing. And it tells me that if he's going to publicly disagree with a coach, guess what? He wants to make a statement that he doesn't believe it's going the right way. And that, to me, is the biggest story of everything that went down this last weekend, is that if he's losing the locker room, we're going to have a big problem, right? I'm sure there's plenty of guys who are all in on his mentality, and I am too. I think he is a very smart coach, but I also think he's maybe too smart for his own good, and maybe he needs to settle down and listen to some of the team leaders. So I think
that's what Bez, you were alluding to, wasn't it? That is trying to put his own stamp on being an NFL mastermind at a young age. And we saw this with Cliff Kingsbury, didn't we, when he first came to the league? And now they're talking about Arizona possibly getting the first round pick. I mean, Bez, do you think that he could potentially be losing the locker room?
I think you have to be careful because in anything at the minute, the media storylines take over reality. So you just get all this hype, whatever it might be. You can pick any player or coach and they've got this niche. Oh my God, Staley's this genius defensive mind. No, he's a good, talented, young guy trying to make his way in the league. He's been given a chance and he wants to bring his style, right? He isn't some wizard. He's not the Wizard of Oz, like doing these little spells. Like maybe he is the Wizard of Oz, but pull back the curtain and what have you got? You've got a guy who understands where we've been as a franchise, that we're fed up of leaking, just cowering in a corner. Do you remember Mike McCoy praying on the touchline because we were going to blow a game, right? Yeah. I will take fourth down in any scenario over having to go through that again. But I think it's more, he's buying into his own brand. And I don't necessarily believe all the rumors, but I do think that people are probably saying that in the locker room. Do you know what? This guy thinks a bit much of himself. What's special about him? He's all right. He needs to calm down a bit, find ways to win games and just be a head coach that's learning and developing and driving a football team forward and just not so much of pushing your own brand, mate.
I mean, we've seen a career high from Austin Eckler, 170 odd yards and a rushing touchdown, and Eckler was amazing. And they've said the running game was a team game. According to PFF, Matt Filer had his best blocking game of the season.
He was traffic for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's slowly improving, and I think we are seeing players that are slowly warming up. Dan's favourite position, the kicker. Dan, what's going on with special teams? They're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Bertolet's come in and had more of an impact than Sonny Michel. So
true words.
Hey, he scored 12 points. That's not bad.
Well, I know it seems strange sitting here talking about a faltering offense and an up and down defense, when actually we normally talk about special teams being gash. I think we were rushing DVO. We were 32nd heading into last week's game. We're now 24th. we need consistency. This is a team that is up and down. It's left and right. We don't know what we get in. Special teams is the only consistent facet of this group. And I'm just wondering whether or not there's an element there that players are still getting used to new playbooks, new schemes, and the fact that players haven't had a full preseason. JC Jackson, he got blown up on Twitter on Sunday.
Yeah, it's looking a bit slow. I mean, he got caught in that break to turn for the touchdown to the sideline.
Amari Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like where he is coming back from a fairly big injury. Like, it just seems like he's not quite there yet. So I feel like he might get there. Like, he's definitely got that potential still. Like, he's definitely he won't have forgotten how to play.
No, I mean, I'm not judging JC because I think we might see the best of him in the second quarter of this season. But is anybody out there got any serious concerns that JC Jackson is not going to get back to his best?
Yeah, just me, apparently.
Well, no, because
I mean, there's a concern
as well,
but there's a concern.
I'm not going to voice it. He, as everybody's pointed out, he's missed time, he's missed camp, he's getting up to speed. Part of it might be a usage thing, Are they trying to have him do too many things and not let him kind of be his kind of rangy ball hawk? I don't know. There's a lot of things that come into play here. So I think we just have to see.
Are they letting Derwin be more of that rangy player who can cover everything and not letting JC Jackson fill that role?
Good.
Is Callahan being in the slot and Asante Samuel being the opposite corner, making an impact to the way he's being used?
Derwin was really poor on Sunday by his standards because
he missed a couple of tackles. Yeah.
They targeted him. They stuck a guy from the O-line on him in the run game and took him out. Now, fair enough. You can scheme. Opponents can scheme players out of games, and Derwin was just targeted and just dominated, quite frankly. But other guys have to step up, and we should have the players. And on JC Jackson, I thought, is this a system cornerback? He's come out of New England. He's one of these guys that leaves and can't do it elsewhere. The truth is, I followed him. If you remember when we were talking about free agents, he's been my guy for 2 years. I was calling for him 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And he is and always will be an explosive playmaker that either can get burnt or takes away the ball and turns over and wins you a game. Yeah, he's never been a true lockdown cornerback. He's been better than he's showing now, but you can't expect him to be a different player. He's going to give up the touchdowns like we saw. He just isn't getting the turnovers to go with it. But I think they could come, but don't expect him to shut down the next 3 wide receiver ones we play against. It's just not going to happen.
Well, statistically, the best defensive backs in our team are Asante Samuel Jr., believe it or not, with an interception of 4 passes defended, and Bryce Callahan with 4 passes defended and 2 interceptions. I think Bryce Callahan, we kind of knew that he could add some quality in the backfield, but I think it's really good to see Asante Samuel Jr. Raising his standards. I mean, John, do you think this kid can elevate to the levels that we expected him when we drafted him? Do you think he can maintain this form going out through the season? Because that's going to be massive if he can.
I mean, I think so. I think that, there is a lot of talent in these young players, and I think some of them are really developing. I think some of them are developing faster or slower, right? I mean, you just kind of have to watch them and let them do their thing and see where they go, right? You can't push them like Trey Pipkins, right? We had all given up on Trey Pipkins. Nobody wanted to see Trey Pipkins out there. Took him 4 years, which is a lot. And I mean, Bez, what? He's a top 10 lineman, Bez?
Top 10 tackle. For top pressures and sacks given up, he ranks in the top 10 at tackle.
I mean, who the hell would have seen that coming 2 years ago or last year, right? Like, nobody would have seen. I mean, it took him time to develop. So I think that we need to take every player and we need to stop being so crazy about it, right? I think I fall into this trap. We all fall into the same trap, right? It's player X was drafted here. They should be good in 1 or 2 seasons, right? If they're a first round pick, they should be good right away. If they're a second round pick, they should be good in 2 seasons. If they're a third round pick, they should be good in 3 seasons, right? Like, we come up with these kind of fake narratives. And we just kind of throw it on players. Everyone's going to develop how they're going to develop, right? So I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt to certain players, and I'm willing to believe the hype in others because I think it's just there. So,
I mean, you mentioned there Pipkin. I mean, we stay with the offensive line because they're there primarily to protect the quarterback. They're also there to create lanes for the running backs. I mean, Zion Johnson, absolute animal. Bez, you're shaking, you're nodding your head. You're all up on Zion.
I have an apology to make because I didn't think he was great. I watched him early doors and I thought he's not a first round pick standard. He wasn't giving up pressures and sacks, but he looked a bit lost. And then actually I went back and watched the tape and focused entirely on him. And he's the first round O lineman. We thought he's just, fantastic. No pressures, just consistent, improving, dominating.
I agree with you, but I think a lot of that is down to Corey Linsley. When Will Clapp comes in at centre, it's different. It's different. And do you know what? I was sat there watching Green Bay on Sunday thinking, you know what you're missing up front? Corey Linsley.
It's true.
Over
at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, John. What's the talk on your side of the pond in terms of centers? He's got to be a top 3 center in the NFL, surely.
I mean, it depends on what metrics. I would say he's definitely, he's definitely top 10, maybe top 5, top 3. I don't know. But I mean, he's so important to this line, so important to the line. I mean, you see how important the center is every year. So I think having Linsley in the middle is important. Having Zion do things that no one thought he could do. It's all great, and I want to give a lot of credit where credit's due to this O line. But I do want to say this. And you guys mentioned this earlier, but we want to applaud the O-line. We want to applaud the running game. 2 games in a row look great. 2 games versus bottom 5 rush defenses.
Yep.
Cleveland has the worst rush defense, obviously helped out by our big performance. Houston has the 5th worst, or the bottom, number 5 worst rush defense. Okay, so I mean, I want to give them credit, but I also want to say, yeah, that's what happens when you play bad run defenses. You play good run defenses, you see what happens, right? So, in fairness, Kansas City, Las Vegas, both of them actually have top half run defenses this year, okay? Not elite, but top half, all right? So, we've come across some pretty tough run defenses so far this year. And, so far against a good run defense, they have underperformed. Against a bad run defense, they've overperformed. So I guess we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see kind of what happens with Denver coming up. And I don't want to tease it. We're still talking about this game, but I think that is an important narrative. Is congratulations to the O line, but do it against a defense that doesn't rank in the bottom of the league, and then I'll believe you.
And this is the point. I said this in week 1 or 2. You're not going to know what the charges are until week 6 or 7. It might even be longer now. And actually, do you know what? It really doesn't matter because all these 10-0 teams that end up not even making the playoffs, they can crash and burn. For me, we just need to keep winning games. And I mean, I said we'd be 5-0 at this point of the season. We're 3-2, so that's out the window. But we're in a position now where we're going to talk about it very shortly. We're going to go to a commercial break, but we're playing a divisional rival. We cannot afford to fall any more games behind those Chiefs. I mean, oh man. They're the luckiest team on earth. I don't want to talk about them anymore. I don't even believe that I've mentioned it. Short commercial break, guys. When we're going to come back, we're going to talk Bez's favourite player, MG3, Russell Wilson, and the Denver Broncos. Hey, Bolt fam. The NFL action is in full swing at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. Check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped up same-game parlays. I like the Chargers at the Browns. The Chargers are going to hold the Browns to 100 yards rushing. Bold prediction, especially the way Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb have started the season. And I think Mike W. will go for another 100-yard game. To make things even sweeter, you can throw down a stepped-up same-game parlay once per game all season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code TPPN to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Welcome back to Charged Up Bolts podcast, episode 98, I believe. Nearly on for 100.
We're getting closer.
Bez has got something planned for us for our 100th show.
I'm going to fly every listener out to Bonfire Night. How does that sound? America's like, Bonfire Night? What's that? I'll show you what Bonfire Night is.
Bonfire Night is gash. Does my head in. Right, guys, Denver. Dan, I'm going to start with you because I know that you've been watching tape and looking at a certain ex-Charger fumbling the football.
Yeah, so I mean, he makes it so easy to talk about him fumbling. By what he's had, 3 fumbles so far this season?
Yeah, Melvin.
Yeah, just getting the stats up. Yeah, 5 games, 3 fumbles, 2 lost. So yeah, he's not having the best season, and I'm not that sad about it. But he's doing okay. He's doing okay. As a whole, the Denver offense feels like they're not having the best season. Russell Wilson was expected to come in and turn things around and be the missing piece, but it's just not clicking yet. He's getting kind of harassed. He's putting himself in situations where he's going to get sacked. He's just, not having the best start to the year. Shame, really. Long may it continue.
Well, look,
Tongue in your cheek, Dan.
And this is the thing: we all came into week one. The whole NFL media, us, other Chargers podcasts out there, AFC West, best division in football. Not looking like that right now, is it?
Was it we all got beat by AFC South teams in the same week or something?
I mean, the AFC South is a much stronger division. I mean, when you have to go through the gauntlet of Jacksonville and Houston and Indianapolis, oh my God, they are dominating the West, and I don't understand how. But okay,
dumb luck.
So come on, right? So Denver, Dan, Bez, what's your takes on this game? Where's it going to be won? Where's it going to be lost?
Never write the Broncos off when they play the Chargers. You do so at your peril. They are massively underperforming. There's so many narratives coming out of that locker room about Russell Wilson and his contract and Melvin Gordon. They've got injuries with Javonte Williams being out. So, they have probably performed as poorly as they could been expected to, and it's not going to continue. They're going to come out fighting. They're going to draw together, and I think they will perform against us. Don't write off Melvin Gordon tucking that ball under his arm, holding it as solidly as he's ever done before, and scoring some touchdowns, getting the yards. I just think we have to be ready for a shootout. We have to be ready to play them tough, because I think, go back to the comment that was made about dumb luck and the AFC South. Is it NFC South? AFC South.
Hey.
It quite a lot of it is being complacent against these teams. John, you made a comment last season, maybe it was back when we played Baltimore in the regular season and lost. And you made a comment about how they're a great team in the regular season because no one can prepare in a week to play their D. But in the playoffs, you have longer, you prepare for them and you beat them. And I think that's a little bit of why this is happening. Teams are under considering the strength of these teams. They come in and they do something a little different, and you have a sloppy game, you play down to them. We must not play down to the Broncos. Assume they are challenging. They're one game behind us, guys. If they've played that badly, how have they got 2 victories and challenging us for second spot? So let's calm down. Let's prepare properly, and let's make sure our talent on the field shows. My only comment to the group is it Derby that's out for the season? They've had a big loss. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Derby.
They've got $70 million worth of talent on IR or something daft like that. So
yeah. Ronald Darby went down. Was it last week? He went down.
Him and an O-lineman, I want to say, but they've got big names out, and they're still going to play tough. So just don't play down to them, which we always do at some point. So let's hope it's not that game.
John, Are we nervous about Monday Night Football?
I am. So I'd be way more nervous if we were in Denver. Okay. Chargers playing the Broncos in Denver is always an affair. So I really don't like to see that. But usually better luck in LA. I saw some people trying to bring up some old stats in 2012 when the Broncos started the season 2-3 and then came to Monday Night Football and beat the Chargers or whatever. Like, come on,
guys.
As somebody, so someone tweeted that out saying, "Hey, we've seen the script before, turning it around and going like 12-4 or something after a 2-3 start by beating the Chargers on Monday Night Football in a way." And I'm just like, yeah. And somebody commented, "Yeah, but this season they have 0 Peyton Mannings and they have an Omaha score of 0." So I don't see Peyton Manning behind the line, so I don't see that happening for the Broncos. However, I do see a top 5 defense in Denver, which is not a surprise given the talent they have on that side of the ball. So my worry is that we're going to see one of those games where even though the Bronco offense isn't exactly a world beater at this point, their defense is able to stymie the Chargers offense and the game stays close. And the longer you allow an opponent to stay in the game, the more likely you are to have that bad fumble or that bad interception.
And we are
or that
really good at
misplay.
letting teams stay in games.
Yeah,
That's
and that is a problem.
That is our best. The thing we're best at is letting teams stay in games.
Yeah, it is not ideal. I mean, yes, the Broncos have 2 wins, but let's be real here. They beat Houston 16-9 barely on some last second plays. And then in San Francisco, they won 11-10, and I believe that was the game where they lost Trey Lance, and it was just a disaster in San Francisco for them. So, they have 2 skin into their teeth wins that could have easily gone the other way. So I mean, honestly, the Broncos are a couple plays away from being 0-5 right now. So this 2-3 record is not ideal, but at the same time, it is a divisional game. The Broncos know that they can't go 2-4 and take another loss within the division after already losing to Las Vegas and still having to play Kansas City, right? Like a loss on Monday night is potentially a death nail to the Broncos season. I mean, 2-4, they'd basically be last place in the division. I think after that, it would be bad news for them. So they're going to come in and they're going to be hungry, right? They're going to be real hungry. They're going to say, we got to win this game. This is almost a must-win game for them. So that defense is going to be flying around. I don't expect our run game to put up 180 yards or whatever it was we put up. Like, I expect the run game to struggle against the defense. And the problem is what Denver's really good at is stopping the pass. Okay. So that is scary. Now, the good news for this game is that the reason Denver has been so good against the pass is because they've been able to generate pressure and make it uncomfortable for quarterbacks. Let's be honest. It's not exactly like this Denver defense has played an elite set of quarterbacks. They played Geno Smith. They've played Davis Mills. They've played Trey Lance / Jimmy Garoppolo. They've played the worst quarterback in maybe the AFC in Derek Carr. And then they've played a washed Indianapolis Colts team and Matt Ryan. So, I mean, if you look at this gauntlet of just terrible quarterback play that they've played, I'm not really sure if I believe how good that defense is against the pass. And I think part of it's going to be that all those quarterbacks have something in common. Can you tell me what all those quarterbacks have in common? They are all atrocious at handling pressure. Atrocious at handling pressure. They curl up
and die.
I mean,
but this is the point that Dan made. This for me is a high pressure game because it's prime time. The whole of the football community is going to be watching. Chargers on home soil. Denver have been atrocious on offense. But here's the thing, okay? This is a good yardstick for our defense to see where we are. Only the Lions and the Seahawks have given up more points than the LA Chargers this year. Denver averaged 15 points a game. So by those standards, we should not be allowing Denver to put more than 2 scores really on the board. if they start running into 20s and 30s, you've really got to be looking at the Chargers defense saying, what the heck is going on? Going back
especially as we're already looking at the defense and thinking, what the hell is going on in some cases.
This is it. I mean, I'm drafting a post for chargeatbolts.com at the minute, and one of the keys to victory is more ups and less downs to the defense. You know, we made some great plays, and then we get gashed, and that has to stop. And Bez, to your point about Melvin Gordon, seriously, if he starts putting up a ton of yards, it is not going to look good for our franchise. I think there's going to be a lot of restless people. This is a game for me where we can show the NFL that actually we've had a couple of lucky wins, and you know we come out of this game with a victory at 4-2. But we've got to dominate this. You've got 17 sacks have been generated by Denver, and as John said, they've not played against the best of O-lines. Soldier, we've not talked about him. This is going to be another good test.
Which is great. Not talking about him means he's probably doing his job somehow.
He is, but you know he's going to be up against Bradley Chubb this week, this Monday. You know, it's going to be a good test for him. I just want to see the Chargers using the football wisely. What do I mean by that? I mean, obviously we kept the football and you know we ran it well in week 5. If we start getting 3 and outs, we're going to start digging ourselves in a hole, and I don't want to see that. I know for a fact there's people out there that wait to stick a fork in the Chargers every week, and as the weeks go on, the more chance you've got sticking a fork in the Chargers. And this is why I think people are going to look at this and say, well, actually, it doesn't really matter. If we don't get the victory at home in week 6, we've got plenty of time to recover. I think as either John or Dan mentioned this in the last, I think John, it might have been you, that if we could beat Cleveland, which we did, and then we can beat Denver, that really sets us up getting into our bye week and then getting out the other side and going down the stretch. I think this is a really high pressure game. Certainly because we're all chasing the Chiefs again. I said I wasn't going to mention their name, and now I mentioned them twice. I don't know what's going on there. And the thing with I'm going to get out on my soapbox in a minute about roughing the passer. There was that BS call on Sebastian Joseph Day. Yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. But Jacoby Brissett falls over. We don't need Russell Wilson playing those tactics on Monday. Maybe we'll get a duvet out and some microwave tea and a biscuit or a cookie for the quarterbacks, because what happened last week with Brady and Mahomes the other night is absolutely ridiculous. And these are the little things that are going to trip us up and cause an issue going down the line, because we seem to be on this nice smooth road during the game, and then we hit a speed bump and it looks like we're going to fall off the road and go into a verge. Can we just have 4 quarters where it's a relatively easy win?
Can I just chime in on the Broncos as well, just to get my thoughts out there about where I think what I think the problem areas will be. And it kind of depends on if we see Allen on the field, because they've been okay against the pass. They've been pretty decent, but how much of that is having Ronald Darby there as well as Pat Surtain? And is Pat Surtain going to be lining up against Mike Williams, who I think PFF put it out earlier? Let me just see. He's in single coverage. He is graded as the top receiver, has the most catches and the most yards. But, I mean, that's just what he does. But is Pat Surtain going to be up against Mike Dubb, or is Pat Surtain going to be up against Keenan Allen? And I think that will make a difference, because they're down their number 2 corner, or they're, well, arguably number 1, but definitely number 2. And to Bez's point earlier, it was Garrett Bowles was the O-lineman that went on IR. So they've lost Randy Gregory, Javonte Williams, Ronald Darby, and Garrett Bowles in the space of 2 weeks.
Can we just talk about Mike Williams for a minute? I mean,
I'd gladly talk about Mike Williams for a minute.
Just give Mike Williams a football. I'm not going to sit here now.
Just not on
fourth down.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Mike Williams is the best wide receiver in the league. But when you've got a potent receiver that's on form, This is how Cincinnati got to the Super Bowl last year, kept airing the ball to Jamar Chase. He was unstoppable. Mike Williams looks like he would, if there was such thing as cover 6, where you've got 6 defensive backs around him, Mike Williams looks like he'll win every frigging ball down, beyond 15 yards. I'm telling you now.
Part of the reason for that is because if you put a 6-year-old to cover Mike Williams, he's still going to get separation. Like, can we all be real here? I love Mike Williams. Okay. He's a great player, but he cannot get separation.
Oh, good, no.
No, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem. That was my biggest issue with that 4th down play. That 4th down play was designed for Mike Williams, who could not get separation, and therefore
you need it going to someone who has the space immediately.
Yeah. DeAndre Carter was the most open person on that. He does a quick slant. He was open, but only for a brief second. Here's the thing. DeAndre Carter is probably the 3rd look on that play, probably not the 1st or 2nd look. If Keenan Allen's out there where running the route Carter would run, because I'm guessing that's Keenan Allen's route, right? Keenan Allen's the first read, right? And I'm guessing they convert on that 4th down, right? It cannot be stressed enough how much we need someone who can separate and get open quickly. Why? Because the Denver Broncos live and breathe on creating pressure. They live and breathe on it. Okay. That is how they're so good, right? They create pressure. These quarterbacks can't handle the pressure. They take a shot, and then Surtain or somebody comes in for an interception or knocks the ball away. Okay. You want to beat the Broncos. You basically get rid of that pressure through the screen game, quick passes, slants, whatever. Right. The problem is we don't have anybody who can really execute like Keenan Allen. So we need Keenan Allen to come back this week. I know he did. I was at individual drills on Wednesday. I have not seen any reports about what today's Thursday on a Monday. Is that a practice today? I don't know if they had a walkthrough today. There might have been I don't know what today is. I don't know if they have a full practice or what today. I haven't seen anything about that, but still waiting. I mean, I know he's back at practice, but I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's individual or if he's doing full participant, but we absolutely need Keenan Allen back today. Absolutely. Without Allen, this team is really, really struggles when the other team can create pressure.
Well, this is me talking about Mike Williams. I forgot he didn't practice at all yesterday, did he? Because of illness.
Yeah, he's been ill.
Daniel Popper hasn't done any updates as of this recording. It's 9 p.m.
I also have Popper's Twitter feed open just to check.
But I don't know. I think on one-on-ones when the ball's getting punched down the field when Herbert's able to air, I think Mike's unstoppable. And I don't know. There's something inside me, and Bez, I think you and I spoke about this offline. Something suggests to me that we're not showing all our cards. I can't put my finger on it.
Does Lombardi have no more cards?
Well, I don't know. I just find it a bit strange that it's almost like they're being reserved and they're leaving something. Or
we're certainly not seeing a lot of the boom plays that we did. If you imagine back to last season, when we played Tampa Bay and Brady at home, and we were launching it down in a shootout, down deep to Guyton, and we were taking shots. We don't take as many shots. It's a much more controlled offense. Even when everyone was healthy and on the field, we're not going adventurous. I don't want to go back on Lombardi and play calling. I don't want to talk about
that. How much of that is that we don't have the time to develop plays longer downfield because we are missing Slater and we were missing, Pipkins, strangely. And we did miss Lindsley for a bit. And there's just never been that game where we've had, here's the long shot. I mean, we've had Guyton's had a couple of catches this season, and they've averaged pretty high. But we just don't have that. Herbert's having to get the ball out very fast.
No, I wouldn't disagree. And the ribs comes into it as well from the injury. So, but it just feels like we're not. There's an element to our game we're not taking. We took that big shot down to Mike Williams where he caught it with no separation again, as John says. Just big body, good hands, elite hands away from that body and bringing it in with strong grip. But my biggest problem with Mike Williams, and I was screaming at this during the game and putting it on Twitter, is
weak heels.
He's targeted on important third downs and
I do worry every time he hits the ground. It's just like, oh God, you've had a bad back. Don't hit that ground. I know what a bad back's like.
Yeah, it's awful. But when he's targeted on a quick slant, he never gets separation, and he cannot handle the speed of the ball from Herbert. He doesn't bring those balls in. That's Keenan Allen's job. Why is the coaching staff still giving it to Mike Williams? Because he's proving he can't handle Those third down conversions.
Maybe the jugs machine.
Well, without Allen, who else do they have? Right, Palmer,
and
Carter,
Andy, mate. Andy.
I mean, OBJ's coming back.
Oh God!
The Panthers are going. Aren't the Panthers going into full tank mode now?
Oh yeah, I was saying to Woz just before we started recording. They're looking to trade. They're looking to trade McCaffrey. I haven't told my wife that bit yet, so that's
right.
fun.
Ooh, question: We've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to go around the room now. You're all the GM. You're actively gonna go after McCaffrey. What are you giving up for McCaffrey? I'll start with you, Bez.
50p and a packet of bourbons.
No, come on. What are you giving up for McCaffrey?
Not a lot. Do you know what? I wouldn't trade the house for him.
John, would you? No.
I love McCaffrey in fantasy, but in real life, he's hard to cover. He's hard to play with. But I mean, at the end of the day, you need a 4th and 1. You're probably not relying on McCaffrey to get that every time.
Dan, would you go after it?
I don't know. It's a tough one because I feel like I've watched every Panthers game over the last 5 years. I've watched every Panthers game of his career, and I think I've seen more games without McCaffrey than with McCaffrey. And none of them have been continuous issues that have been he's re-hurt the same injury. But there is a point where you got to be like, come on, guy, just be on the field. So I wouldn't want to give up a lot, and his contract is huge. But you can't ignore the chance to get one of the best players at their position. So I would definitely do my due diligence on exploring it, but I personally wouldn't be comfortable going through with it.
See, Dan's convinced me. I would trade Storm Norton. Come on, you've twisted my arm behind my back. True. You can have Storm Norton. There you go.
And they can have
McCaffrey
Lombardi.
Right. Yeah,
2 for 1.
2 for 1. You get a coach who's potentially a head coach. Maybe, who knows? You need one, and you get a right tackle, a swing tackle. He can play both sides.
And definitely not racist.
Definitely not.
I'm gonna have to interject here because you guys just start talking Eurovision if I let you keep talking.
Oh.
Predictions.
Liverpool.
Please stop. You three are killing me.
Ooh, predictions.
Dan, let's go.
I think Great Britain has a chance, especially being at home. Depends if we go Sam Ryder again.
Come on, Denver.
I'll start. I can't see Denver doing huge amounts. I'd put Denver at 13, probably us at 21. I don't see us scoring a huge amount, but I think we could get a few touchdowns, even if it's just ground and pound and just get there. But I think we're strong enough to stop Denver's offense. So, 21-13 seems okay.
I was kind of around the same kind of that feels right to me. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a lot of points. It feels like the Chargers are going to have trouble with that defense. So, I'm probably going to say maybe a little bit higher. I think 24. I can see them putting up maybe 2 touchdowns, 1 in each half, and then a bunch of field goals. So I could see 24, 23, something like that. I don't know. But I also think that they are able to contain the Broncos. I think Gordon puts the ball on the ground at least once. I think Russ gets picked at least once. I just feel like they're going to be pushing it and they're going to make mistakes. And I think this is a good game for that defense to step up and really get some takeaways. So because of that, I think 24-10. I don't think they let them score over 10.
Come on, Bez.
13, 15, Broncos.
Whoa.
I just think we choke one. It's coming. It's the Chargers. You just get momentum. You got these wins, consecutive wins. You've beaten a team like the Browns, and the Broncos put it all together, and we cough it up, and we lose a field goal kind of game. Maybe a safety. I don't know, something dramatic.
Bez, are you keeping count the last time I predicted a 50 burger?
Here we go.
Was it like last week or the week before? It can't have been long.
Yeah.
28-9 Chargers.
No,
we're going to hold And do you know what? I'm going to give a bold take now, and I don't mean this in a sinister way. I think Russell Wilson will leave the game. Mr. Ripien will come in at quarterback because he's carrying that.
He's Ripien for the picking.
Yeah, so I think Denver have got problems on offense, but our defense really has to step up because if Denver start putting up those numbers and creeping up towards 20, it doesn't say a lot about our defense. Oh. Why do we have to have Monday Night Football? It's too long. We should be playing Sunday. I don't want to wait that
Just
long.
put it on now. I'm awake now. I won't be awake at 1 a.m. on Monday.
Leave it till
Well,
Monday
Tuesday.
so I can just wait for the Padres to smash the Dodgers at Petco Park and progress, and then we can focus on
Oh
this.
yes, baseball to the baseball.
Guys, where can we find you on socials, Bez?
At Bez the Spaniard.
And
At Charged Up Pod.
Dan?
I'm at UKLA Chargers.
John?
You can hit me at Adroit Airs, #Audible Chocolate.
You can get me at Endzone85, or you can contact us all at chargedup_bolts. I'm trying to find the person that's got charged up bolts, but I think they last tweeted in 1942 or something, so we're never getting that handle. One of my favourite times of the week is chatting football with my Chargers good buddies. Let's hope that we're sat here in a week's time talking 4-2 Chargers and not talking 0.500 football, because if we're playing 500 football, it means we've lost, and we really don't want that. Enjoy the football on Sunday. We can relax, put Red Zone on, hopefully watch all our rivals getting beat. That'd be nice. But between now and then, enjoy. Don't lose your hair on Monday Night Football. We'll be okay. You've been listening to Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.
Bolt up.
Bolt up.